I want to also say it's a work made not so much by me, but it's a work made in common with members of the team of the Biennale, with their expertise, their knowledge, and their resilience over so many years of making this great exhibition that brings all of us to Venice every 2 years, repeatedly, to come and to see what contemporary art represents. I think it's safe to say that we live in incredible times. And I say this because it's almost like a litany that one can repeat over the last 120 years, that we live in incredible times. And each time, it seems to me that this incredulity does not really have any solution. And therefore, it remains a question of hope that somehow these incredible times we live might turn from being a question of permanent transition, but into something that is harmonious with all our desires for how art reflects the nature of our own imaginings and the nature of our own ability to form new visions of the world. I will not speak so much about Paul Klee as Angelus Novus from the perspective of Walter Benjamin did so already described in my statement from last year. But I nevertheless evoke that in order to think again about the question of residue as an important element of how this international exhibition has been shaped, particularly through the three filters that I proposed, that if we think about the garden of disorder, we are really thinking about a space of residue, an atomized space, whose shards and fragments creates a kind of molecular density from which, if not to build, but to rebuild. But to build and to rebuild, we have to enter into this process of unmaking, of unbuilding. We have to unbuild those walls of separations that separate different views of the future that we have. So all the world's futures is at once a proposal about building as much as it is about unbuilding, of unmaking. There are many things that need to be unmade, to be unbuilt, in order to delve into this. So this space of residue is for me very important. And now let me introduce the three filters, the garden of disorder, as a way to sort of to have a picture, as it were, seen from the center of the Giardini and radiating outwards to the rest of the world of really how we can imagine and encounter these incredible times. The second filter on epic duration, reading capital on epic duration has to do with the way in which we create an interpretive concept through which to really reflect on these incredible times. The last one on life, the last one, which is on liveness, really has to do with how can the space and the time of the exhibition coincide, and how can we make this possible. So, having said all those things, I want to just simply read out to you my final intuition about AllTheWorld'sFutures. In 1974, La Biennale di Venezia, following a major institutional restructuring and the revision of its rules and articles of constitution, launched an ambitious and unprecedented 4-year plan of events and activities. Part of the programs of 1974 were dedicated to Chile, thus actively foregrounding a gesture of solidarity toward that country in the aftermath of the violent coup d'etat in which General Augusto Pinochet overthrew the government of Salvador Allende in 1973. It's very interesting to sort of think because the same period between 1973 and 1974 was when the Biennale, through a number of public meetings, was able to rethink the very constitution and the structure of its programs. So bringing practitioners across the fields of visual arts, cinema, music, theater, dance, and performance, the events of the 1974 Art Biennale were spread across the entire city of Venice. That year's Biennale brought together students, intellectuals, activists, labor union members, cultural associations, and the public at large to discuss and debate the place of art and culture as instruments of social transformation. From this, you can well imagine that I've been sort of, burning the oil lamp in the Biennale's archives, which is just so incredible and so rich and ever, stimulating and unending space of really incredible things that, again, still requires, deep research by, curators, historians, and so on. But today, the remarkable and transformative episode in the history of the Biennale is largely forgotten, this episode I mean. But it is extensively documented in an impressive publication called Annuario 1975 Eventi del 1974, sorry I don't say it in Italian, published by the La Biennale di Venezia. The dedication of the programs of events to Chile and against fascism remains one of the most explicit attempts in recent memory by which an exhibition of the statue of the Art Biennale not only responds to but courageously steps forward to share the historical stage with the political and social context of its time. It goes without saying that in view of the current turmoil around the world, that the Biennale's Eventi del 1974 has been a curatorial inspiration. In response to this remarkable episode and the rich documentation it generated, the 56th International Art Exhibition, AllTheWorld'sFutures, will introduce the arena, an active space dedicated to continuous live programming across disciplines and located within the Central Pavilion in the Giardini. The linchpin of this program will be the epic live reading of all 3 volumes of Karl Marx's Das Kapital. Here, Das Kapital will serve as a kind of oratorio that will be continuously read live throughout the exhibition's 7-month duration. Designed by the award-winning Ghanaian British architect David Ajay, the arena will serve as a gathering place of the spoken word, the art of the song, recitals, film projections, and a forum for public discussions. Taking the concept of the Sikh event, the Sikh, this is a group from India, called the Akhand Path, a recitation of the Sikh holy book read continuously over several days by a relay of readers. Das Kapital will be read as a dramatic text by trained actors, directed by artist and filmmaker Isaac Julia. During the entire duration of the Art Biennale from 6 May to November 22nd, 2015, these actors will share the stage with a number of other things. So accompanying the live reading of Marx's seminal and still controversial book, a classic work of economic and social analysis, which could not be more relevant for our times, will be a continuous sequence of other oral performances